We now go to the Peninsula District, Chris. It's the Heritage Hurricanes, undefeated on this season, taking on the Bethel Bruins, who are 500 on the year, 2-2 overall. A win for Bethel in the upset would be huge for their playoff chances in Group 6A South.
Yeah, the Peninsula District has been wide open this year and full of exciting games, and this one would be yet another one as, again, we see Daryl Brown. We've seen him a lot this year, making things happen, and Matt, I hate to take your line, but what can Brown do for you?
Oh, he scores touchdowns for Bubba Hooker and the Bruins. The second week in a row he gets a kick return for a touchdown. It was 83 yards against Woodside. This time it's 82 yards against Heritage. Just the start they needed to spring the upset, 7-0 in favor of Bethel on the road.
Brown also holds for kicks, so he's a little bit of everything, but on the ground come the Hurricanes as it's Trayshawn Shackelford from a few yards out, scores a touchdown, and just like that, Heritage back and tying this game at 7.
Heritage is looking for a back to be the #1 guy for Coach George Massenberg. They had Khalid Abdullah go to James Madison just a couple years ago. They might have found that guy in Shackelford, and Kivani Francois with the interception as the Heritage defense coming up big there.
Wee with the reception for Francois as Shackelford back on the ground, making things happen, making defenders miss, finally taken down inside the 10-yard line. And once more to Shackelford into the breach, and he finds the end zone for the touchdown, and the Hurricanes take the lead.
Right back in front, Heritage is, although the extra point will be no good, 13-7, as they're trying to have a result similar to last year's 44-14 rout over Bethel. But the Bruins aren't looking for that to happen here.
And Brown, we saw him on the kickoff return. Now we're going to see him on a punt return, and you see the electrifying moves as he's able to race down the sideline, getting some blocking. But Matt, unfortunately, it's just all going to be for naught.
Yeah, he would come back, although he had a decent return. He's just a blur in the open field for Bethel there. And you see now, right before the half, Bethel trying to strike here against that Heritage defense. It'll be quarterback Bo Morgan over the middle to Daryl Brown, who this time will get a big gainer, 54 yards. And again, he is hard to stop when he gets the full head of steam.
Certainly looks like a developing playmaker for the Bruins as they get called for a sideline infraction penalty. But nevertheless, they're still going to be leading by a point going into the second half. 14-13, as Heritage coach George Massenberg wanted to make sure his team can make the stops on defense, but they're going to give up a touchdown here as Quentin Lee finds the end zone, and Bethel looking to add to their lead.
And Bethel's Quentin Lee with his second game of over 100 yards in 3 weeks. He did it against Gloucester, but Heritage a much tougher defense to run on here as Bethel is a quarter away from pulling the upset, but Marcus Van Hook is going to try to help Heritage get another close win. As you see, Van Hook 31-yard reception. Can Coach Massenberg's team make it 10-0 in games decided by 7 points or less the last 2 years?
Well, Omar Martin's going to make sure they can at least tie the game as from 5 yards out. He scores the touchdown. The all-important extra point is up and true. And we're tied 20 apiece now, late in the fourth quarter.
Another nail-biter, and this is where Heritage thrives. And Bethel now with the football late in the fourth quarter as Bo Morgan gets drilled here. That defense with Justice Fauntleroy and new JMU commit Dimitri Holloway really coming after quarterback Bo Morgan, and this time it's Jerry Green with the sack.
That sets up a 3rd and 23 with the clock winding down. Morgan is going to set up the middle screen pass to TC Chisley, and Chisley's going to do the rest. 35 yards later, he gets a first down and a big completion for the Bruins.
And that gives them a 30-yard field goal with 27 seconds left to win the ball game. Chase Deaton puts them ahead, and all Bethel needs is one more stop, and they come away victorious.
The Hurricanes' last-ditch effort as it's going to be Mark DeLoach looking to make something happen, but he is taken down, and that will do it for Heritage as they lose a heartbreaker in this one, 23-20 to their rivals, the Bethel Bruins.
And DeLoach coming in there for Jeremiah Boyd there the last series, and Heritage now losing its first game of the year. You see Shackelford with 133 yards and 2 touchdown runs, while Quentin Lee powered the Bethel offense with 141 yards rushing and a touchdown. The Bruins moving their record to 3-2 on the season.
More scores now in the Beach District. Green Run, a 14-10 winner over KELLAM as Austin Litch, 231 yards and a touchdown passing for the Stallions. And the Knights fall by 4 as Malik Baker, 26 carries, 89 yards rushing in defeat.
Amazingly, Green Run was down 10 in the fourth quarter in that game. Another classic, a double overtime one between Norview and Churchland in the Eastern District as the Pilots prevail behind E.J. Faison's 4 total touchdowns, 3 rushing and 1 through the air to Deshaun Brown.
Southeastern District, Grassfield 10-point winners over Hickory 27-17. Shondell Joyner had 2 touchdowns on the ground for the Grizzlies, and in defeat, Hickory gets a nice effort by Chris Muratori as he has 175 yards rushing.
And the Grizzlies moving their record to 500 on the year at 2-2. More scores from around Hampton Roads High School football. Woodside, they stay undefeated, the lone unbeaten now in the Peninsula District as they beat Gloucester 56-10. Tamir Walker with 3 touchdowns and 120 yards on just 4 carries. Wolverines don't attempt to pass, but all they need to do is run the football. 415 yards on 34 attempts for Danny Dodson's squad.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. In the Bay Rivers in overtime, Poquoson, the Islanders with the 3-point victory over the York Falcons, 12-9, as Ethan Bryce over 100 yards rushing and a touchdown receiving for the Islanders, and a game-winning 31-yard field goal for Poquoson gets the victory in a much-anticipated matchup against the Falcons.
Oh, those two always a classic Bay Rivers tilt there. In the private schools, it was Greenbrier Christian blanking Portsmouth Christian 41-0. Corey Vickers with 3 touchdown passes, all to Khalil McGlone, 109 yards receiving. Portsmouth Christian staying winless on the year.
Cox Sports Report, Virginia Trophy Player of the Week goes to Jason Lewis of Ocean Lakes, 11 carries, 185 yards, and 3 touchdowns. As you see the picture there in a freshly yellow Arizona State t-shirt, Matt, and I'm sure he's happy to have that process.
Yeah, Jason made his college commitment this past week to Arizona State, so congrats to the 4-star recruit there. And the Dolphins have just been unstoppable, outscoring foes 212-25 on the year, showing why they're ranked #1 in the state in Group 6A. Well, we're out of time. We thank you for watching, and we'll be here in October when the leaves change colors in fall here on Sports Report.